We have Harvey Weinstein getting 16 years for R. We have R.Kelly getting sentenced to 20 more years for child P. Let's get into some Me Too wins and updates. Hi, everyone. Empowering True Crime Alex here, and I bring you latest breaking news on true crime cases, also what's happening in the world of TV, SA, missing persons. And I try to do it with an empathetic and compassionate side, really being victim focused. And today we're going to talk about two guys, two media entertainment moguls who were sentenced on the same day, Thursday, February 23rd. R. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein were both sentenced for sex-related crimes. Now, these guys are serial sex offenders. And that's what was so amazing about them both getting sentenced on the same day. I was covering the R. Kelly case, and all of a sudden I posted content on that, and all of a sudden Harvey Weinstein was sentenced as well. I was like, whoa, what is happening? So that was a good day in the Me Too movement. So let's get into a few updates here. I'm going to share a couple of articles. Now, the first article I wanted to highlight was this one from Variety. It says, Paris Hilton says Harvey Weinstein followed her to the bathroom, tried to open the door, and yelled at her when she was 19. The quote is, "I was scared." So this is fascinating. Paris Hilton revealed in an interview with Glamour that she had an uncomfortable incident with Harvey Weinstein at a 2000 Cannes Film Festival when she was only 19 years old. Hilton was at the festival to attend the annual AMFAR Gala for AIDS research, which Weinstein was hosting that year. Hilton said she met Weinstein the day before the gala. "I was at lunch with my girlfriend, and he came up to the table and was like, 'Oh, you want to be an actress?' And I said, 'Yeah, I really want to be in a movie,'" Hilton said. "I was a teenager, so I was impressed by him. I was like, oh my God, Harvey Weinstein is so cool." And he said, "Well, we should have a meeting. You can come up to my room and read scripts." And I just didn't want to go, so I never went. I already know she was creeped out by him. Hilton said Weinstein got aggressive with her at the gala the next evening. She alleged that Weinstein followed her to the ladies' bathroom and yelled at her, "You want to be a star?" "I went into the bathroom and then he followed me," Hilton said. "He tried to open the door. He was hammering on the door, banging on it. And I wouldn't open it because I was like, I'm in a stall. Why do you want to come in here?" And I just wouldn't open it. And security came and literally carried him away. And he was shouting, "This is my party," going nuts. It scared me and freaked me out. As if it isn't bad enough that he's got these power and control dynamics, he was actually hosting that event. So even more was amplified. When asked by Glamour UK if she had heard rumors about Weinstein's behavior before meeting him at Cannes, Hilton answered, "Yeah, and it was just someone so powerful in Hollywood who everyone was terrified of. I didn't even want to say anything about it because I was like, I don't want people getting mad at me for saying anything because it was just a known thing. He was just like that, and people were like, okay, just turn a blind eye." Speaking through his spokesperson from the LA County Jail, Weinstein said that this never happened and that he never yelled at her and never followed her. He had always treated Paris Hilton with the utmost respect and kindness. There were many people at AMFAR, and this is probably false. Unfortunately, Paris Hilton is trying to get in on a current news cycle using his name with yet another creative story. Too bad it's all too convenient and seemingly popular to just say it without anything backing it up. Right, because Paris Hilton, who I believe she's a billionaire, from her own problem. If not, she's almost there because she needs to make lies about being sexually harassed and and assaulted, probably, maybe not to the degree of R, but S-aid in a sense, to be popular, to get into the current news cycle. Sorry. Hilton's interview with Glamour came out the same day Weinstein was sentenced to 16 years in prison after being convicted in LA on 3 counts of R and SA, which is last Thursday, the 23rd of February. The former film producer was already serving a 23-year sentence in New York after being convicted of R and SA in that jurisdiction in a 2020 criminal trial. The Los Angeles judge ordered Weinstein to serve his LA sentence consecutively after New York, effectively ensuring he will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Weinstein addressed the court and said, "I maintain that I'm innocent. This is about money and coming after me. Please don't sentence me to life in prison. I don't deserve it. There are so many things wrong with this case. There is no evidence. This is a setup. I beg your mercy." And it says at the end, Hilton is currently making the press rounds in support of her new book, Paris, the memoir. You see, these guys who are accused of SA will say that it's about the money. And yet, criminal charges are nothing related to money. This is the state that's putting these charges against the person. So they'll always say that, and these are women who have money. These are rich, these are wealthy women, for the most part, who are coming or who have spoken out against Weinstein. And so these are successful, wealthy women who spoke out in that first New York Times article. And so they don't need Weinstein's money. But what ended up happening, though, is Weinstein iced them out and made them seem like they had bad reputations. And so many of them ended up either not getting jobs in Hollywood, or really just because of the situation, because of their incidents and how that made them feel, they just ended up leaving the industry because they felt bad, right? They just felt bad about themselves and went through PTSD. And with that, I wanted to share another article. I thought this was really interesting. So this was in the February 23rd sentencing. The person who that got the case that got the 16 years in jail for R was an anonymous woman known only as Jane Doe. And it says here, Harvey Weinstein's Jane Doe 1 victim reveals identity. I'm tired of hiding. I just love this story. So it says, finally ready to tell her story, Evgenia Chernyshova, I hope I said that right, opens up about the long road to justice and why she has chosen to reveal herself. And here's a photo of Chernyshova, or Chernyshova. I think Chernyshova sounds better. We have a verdict, read the text from Chernishova's attorney, Dave Ring. The 43-year-old mother of three stopped in the middle of the street, flipped on her emergency flashers, and burst into tears. As she sat in her car with her 16-year-old daughter and 23-year-old son, Chernyshova learned that a jury had convicted Harvey Weinstein of her in a hotel room in 2013. Weinstein's LA trial had a mixed outcome for his victims. Of the four women the former mogul was charged with R and SA in LA, Chernishova's case was the only one to result in a conviction. She was the first of 44 witnesses the prosecution called to testify in the trial, and she is the only person the court allowed to deliver a statement at Weinstein's sentencing on February 23rd. The judge sentenced Weinstein to 16 years for forcible oral copulation and penetration by foreign object. He will serve that time on top of the 23-year sentence he is currently serving in New York, an outcome which virtually guarantees the 70-year-old former producer will die in prison. Weinstein has long denied the allegations. And I'm not going to read her whole story because it gets pretty graphic, but she says here, she's like, I'm tired of hiding, says Chernyshova, speaking publicly for the first time. I want my life back. This is my story. And here's a photo of her. She's beautiful. She was actually born in Siberia, and she began modeling around 15 years old and then began acting and being in the entertainment industry. Again, I'm not going to read her whole story. It's pretty graphic, but I will post a link here in case you want to read the whole thing. And there's also a link here to her witness statement, her impact statement that she read. So I thought that was really, really great as well, if you want to read it. After the R, she battled depression, sometimes drinking heavily, and she separated from her husband, who has since died. I was hating myself. I was thinking all the time, there was a lot of beautiful women and stars there, and he chose you. So it's you who did this something. I was depressed. I was mentally not stable. I was out of my mind. Chernyshova believes she felt this guilt for reasons that are both cultural and generational. I love my mom, but her generation raised me like, if something bad happened to you, you're the one who's wrong. It's your responsibility. Essentially, victim blaming and victim shaming, right? In September of 2017, a conversation with her then 16-year-old daughter, Maria, would begin a shift in Chernishova's perspective. Probably that was around the time of the Me Too, when the Me Too movement really started to blossom. Everything pretty much started back when I came forward to my mom about the essays that I went through as a sophomore in high school, says Maria, who is now 21. Chernyshova wanted Maria to tell police about the boy who had assaulted her and was continuing to bully her, and Maria protested. I told her that she would never really be able to understand me, and she told me that she does understand because she had been R. When mother and daughter realized that they shared this painful bond, Maria says it was devastating. We were both crying, Maria says. I knew that she must have suffered through a lot. Maria made her mother agree to a pact. I told her that there was only one condition that was going to be able to report my case, and that's if she also came forward with her case. Maria went first, and Chernyshova was referred to Ring, a trial attorney who often represents sexual assault victims, to represent her daughter. Chernyshova still felt too nervous to talk to police about her own assault, but in a remarkable coincidence of timing, just weeks after Maria spoke to police, the New York Times and New Yorker published stories with SA allegations about Weinstein. And Evgenia realized that her R was not a singular incident. And ladies, or anyone who's reading this or who's watching this, please know that if you have been SA'd or abused, more than likely that your abuser has done it before. It might even be a cycle of abuse. And so you probably aren't the first and you won't be the last unless you report the person or you stop the person. So that's what was so beautiful about this. All of these women felt that they were alone. And when they came together and they came out in this article, they started to realize that they weren't alone. So in the trial for Weinstein's R case, in October of 2022, Chernyshova took the stand as Jane Doe 1 for 3 days of testimony in Weinstein's trial, which she calls the worst experience of my life. The defense lawyers' techniques, how they harass and humiliate you, it is brutal, she says. Basically, they do the same victim blaming, victim shaming type stuff as well and try to get you to, trip up and make you seem like you're less than perfect. Immediately after the trial, jurors told the Associated Press that Chernishova's composure on the stand was key to their conviction of Weinstein in her case. The outcome was different for the other 3 women. The jury voted to acquit Weinstein on one of the other victims' cases and failed to reach a verdict on the other 2. I believe all of the victims who testified, Chernyshova says. All of them. And I want to say this. This is not only my victory, this is our victory. On February 9th, right before a 10-year statute of limitations was up, Chernyshova filed a civil case against Weinstein seeking unspecified compensatory and punitive damages for battery, false imprisonment, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Even after the jury had come to its verdict, Weinstein's defense team raised questions about Chernishova's character in an effort to get a new trial. At Weinstein's sentencing, the defense suggested that her civil suit was evidence of a financial motive and said the court erred when it didn't allow the jury to consider what Jackson called sexually explicit text messages between Chernyshova and the founder of the film festival she was attending. The judge denied the motion, noting, I don't think it makes her testimony false. Right, because what they do is they start to bring up all of these other past incidents to discredit you, to make you seem less credible. Chernyshova, who attended the sentencing with Maria, tearfully delivered a victim statement, telling the judge, I will live with this for the rest of my life. So should he. And I'm just reading bits and pieces of this article, but I'm going to end here where it says, Chernyshova is looking forward to being able to share the full story with people she meets from now on. I finally have a voice and I can speak. As much as I was trying to destroy myself to punish myself, I will do as much to rebuild myself and to help other people. Together with Maria, she is considering starting a foundation to help other Jane Does. I see my future as beautiful. It's a good one. Awesome. So I am so proud of her for speaking up. And I read another article where she said that it was really difficult for her to, because all these other women came out and she felt alone because she was Jane Doe. So she wasn't named. And so she felt like she wasn't able to speak up until after the sentencing. The thing I wanted to share here, let me click out here, is that this is a movie that came out right before the holidays, She Said. And it's just, as of a week or two, it just began streaming on Peacock. So you can watch it. If you have Peacock, you can watch it on the streaming platform. And it tells the story of the New York Times reporters that broke the story of Weinstein's alleged SAs. And they spoke to many actresses. They spoke to people who worked at Miramax where Weinstein was. They spoke to former assistants. They spoke to a lot of people that were involved in the incidents themselves, in the cover-up, and the attorneys that represented him. So it was really powerful. I want to do a review of this movie, and I hope to bring that to you over the next week. I might even interview somebody who was either in the movie or another resource, another person yet. I don't know. It's in the works. You can also just buy the movie, or you can watch it at the movies. But if you have Peacock, it's a great place to watch it. All right. So the next thing I wanted to share is I had already done a little bit on this, but in case you didn't watch my other coverage of the R. Kelly case, R. Kelly was also sentenced on February the 23rd. And I'm just going to read this quick. This was the article actually that I had referenced. And R. Kelly, already serving 30 years for sex trafficking, is now sentenced to 20 years in federal child P case. Okay, and P stands for this word right here. Now, the only difference between his case and Weinstein's case is that he is going to serve them concurrently, not consecutively. Meaning, concurrently means that the two he's serving a 30-year sentence and then he got a 20-year sentence. The 20 is going to overlap with the 30, and then it says that 1 year, so 19 of those years is going to run concurrently at the same time, and then 1 year will be consecutive. So 1 year is going to be after the 30 years. So it sounds like he's going to get 31 years is his current total time for jail arrest time. The sentencing hearing is a culmination of nearly 3 decades of allegations Kelly had sexually abused underage girls. Accusations first laid out in the Chicago Sun-Times. In 2002, Kelly was indicted on child P charges for allegedly videotaping himself having sex with an unidentified underage girl, but he was acquitted in 2008. Hopefully, he continues to serve his sentence. So thanks for sticking with me. I know that this is some heavy topics, and I know that this does bring up a lot of stuff for many people, but the good news is that these serial sex offenders are being charged, they're being sentenced, and they are serving time. And I really hope that this serves as an example for other people to not abuse and to not manipulate, exploit underage girls, women, and those that are more vulnerable. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And please, if you'd like to support my channel and just get up-to-date breaking news, empowering true crime updates, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel. All right, everyone, stay safe, stay thriving, and have an empowering week. Bye for now.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications. Thank you.